Hello everyone, welcome to this video series on arithmetic. Today we will see some basics of ratio wherein we look into the definitions and some various properties. So let us start with the ratio. So ratio is a representation which expresses the relationship between two similar quantities. So there are few important points here. Two similar quantity and relationship expresses the relationship. So what does this mean? Let us see through an example. So suppose A by B that is given as, and A represents income of say Ram and B represents income of Shyam. So we are basically finding out the relation between the income of Ram and Shyam. Income of Ram is represented by A and income of Shyam is given by B. So A and B is giving us a relationship. What is that relationship? How much time is the income of Ram more than or less than income of Shyam? So that relationship can be given by A by B. And two similar quantities. Similar quantity means two similar. So both are representing what? Income, right? So now let us see. If A is to B is in the ratio of say this only we will take 12 by 8, right? So here 4 is common, so it will be 4 by 3 in. This will be 3 by 2 in simplest form. Now what does this mean? This means that if A is 3 units, so I mean this is in fraction term. This can be converted to ratio term in A is to B. We read this as A is to B is equal to 3 is to 2. 3 is to 2. So it shows that if A is 3 unit, B will be 2 unit. Means when I say unit, 3 unit, so A can take a value. If A takes a value of 3, B will take a value of 2. If A takes a value of, so what are the possible values which A and B can take? From this ratio, what can we say? If A takes 3 unit, B will take 2 unit. If A take the next multiple, which is 6, then B will take 4. So we should be careful that the multiples here will be same for numerator and denominator. Both. I mean, if 3 takes a multiple of 2, such that it becomes 3 into 2, 6. So 2 will also take the next multiple, which is the 2. 2 into 2, 4. Now the next multiple of 3 will be 3 into 3, 9. And so 2 will also take a multiple of 3. So 2 into 3 is 6. So this way, these are the possible values of A and B. Now, a couple of more things here. In ratio A is to B, the first term 3, first term is 3. This is known as antecedent. And the second term is 2, that is known as consequent, right? So consequent. These are the, I mean, some standard terms we just need to know that first term 3, first term of any ratio is known as antecedent and the second term of the ratio is known as consequent. And this is true for only when the ratio of two objects we are finding out. If it becomes a ratio of 3, then this may not hold good in that case. Now, a few standard things which may not be very important, but just for the sake of knowing, theoretically, we just go through them. If antecedent is more than consequent, so let's take, say, I take an example of A is to B is equal to 4 by 3. Another A by B is 5 by 13. And third A by B is equal to say 2 by 2, right? So what happens here? A by B, here the first term or the antecedent is more than consequent. So this is improper ratio. Improper ratio. Improper ratio. Why? Because the first term or the antecedent is more than the consequent. Whereas here, when the antecedent or the first term is lower than the consequent or the second term, so this is known as proper ratio, right? And when both first term and second term are equal, this is known as ratio of equality. Now, when antecedent is more than consequent, the first case of improper ratio, this also goes by the name of ratio of greater inequality. And when the first term is less than the second term, this is known by the ratio of less inequality, right? Yeah, just the terms, it should be kept in mind, nothing else. If any question directly comes over these terms, it may be solved easily. So that's the whole purpose of this, right? So if a by b 4 by 3, so I mean the ratio is 4 is to 3. Here the ratio is 5 is to 13, and here the ratio would be 2 is to 1, 2 which is 1 is to 1. So these are improper ratio, proper ratio, and ratio of equality, right? So now we'll solve some problem. So the ratio of weights of Ram and Shyam is 4 is to 5. If the ratio, if the total weight of both the persons is 162 kg, find the weight of Ram and Shyam. So we first method 1, very conventional approach we will take. See, method 1 says that ratio of weights of Ram and Shyam is 4 is to 5 if the weight of both the persons is 162 kg. So Ram is to Shyam, their respective weights are given in the ratio 4 is to 5. So what does this mean? This means if Ram weighs 4 kg, Shyam will weigh 5 kg. Or if Ram weighs any multiple of 4, say 4k, then Shyam will weigh 5k. So I mean both the terms of the ratio should have same multiples. So let the weight of Ram is 4x and weight of Shyam is 5x. So what is total weight? Total weight would be 4x plus 5x, which is 9x. This I can write as 9x is equal to, total weight is given as 162 kg. 162 kg. So from here x I can calculate as 18 kg. So if x is 18 kg, Ram's weight is 4x. So 4x is nothing but 72 kg, and Shyam weight is 5x, which is 18 5 ja 90 kg. So this is the most standard and the equation driven approach which we will take. Now uh, we now take method 2. So method 2 says, now see, what is given to us? 4 is to 5. So 4 is to 5, this gives that if Ram weighs 4 units, Shyam will weigh 5 units. So let us assume in the terms of ratio only that Ram weighs 4 units, Shyam will weigh 5 units. Total weight is 9 unit. If 9 unit corresponds to 9 unit corresponds to 162 kg. So from here we can say 1 unit will correspond to 162 by 9, which is 18 kg. From here we can say then Ram is 5 unit, sorry 4 units, which is 72 kg, because 1 unit is 18 kg, and Shyam is 5 unit. So 5 unit is 5 into 18, which is 90 kg. So this is even simpler approach, and this is the approach which we will be taking going forward, because herein we save time also, and this is very intuitive to think if 4 is to 5 is the ratio, so total summation of the ratio is 9. 9 represents total weight, which is 162 kg. So if 9 represents 162, 1 unit will be given by 18 kg. So 4 unit will be 72 kg, 5 unit will be 90 kg. This is one of the approach, and this is very simple and intuitive. Now, just a variation of this approach only. What we will do, we will take method 3. So method 3 says that what Ram is to Shyam, weight is given as 4 is to 5. So if we have to find weight of Ram, so weight of Ram, can we say, just a way of writing, weight of Ram will be nothing but 4 by total 4 by 9, 4 plus 5, let me, into 162 kg. That is, out of the 9, 4 fraction is Ram's weight, and that is of what? 162 kg. So total here will be 72. Just a variation of the method 2 only, but another way of thinking at the question directly. And weight of Shyam will be given by 5 by 9. 9 by, I'm writing 9 because of 4 plus 5. And this is into 72 again. So 5 by 9, 18, 5 are 90 kg. So this is another way. And from here we get to learn that there is a very important property of ratio. If Ram and Shyam weighs 4 is to 5, so the ratio of Ram to Ram plus Shyam will be 4 by 9. Similarly, ratio of Shyam to Ram plus Shyam will be 5 by 9. Right. So there are 3 methods. We will use 2 or 3 interchangeably as and when it suits. Now let us see question 2. The ratio of weights of Ram and Shyam is 5 is to 7. If Shyam is heavier than Ram by 16 kg, find the weight of Ram and Shyam. So again similar question. Method 1 again I go by the equation approach. Let the weight of Ram and Shyam be 5x and 7x. So the this we can assume 5 is to 7 means 5x and 7x in absolute terms. So the difference 7x minus 5x is given as 16 kg. So from here we can write as 2x is 16 kg. So x is 8 kg, right? So the weight would be Ram weight is 5x, which is 8 5 is 40 kg, and Shyam weight is 7x, which is 7 8 is 56 kg, right? This is method 1. Now method 2. We will use the ratio Ram is to Shyam, that Ram is to Shyam, that ratio is given as 5 is to 7. So what does this mean? If Ram weighs 5 units, Shyam will weigh 7 units. So what is the difference between Ram and Shyam? That is 2 units. So 2 units is given by 16 kg. So 1 unit will will be given by 8 kg. 1 unit represents 8 kg. So therefore Ram weight is 5 units. So it is 5 into 8, 40 kg. And Shyam weight is 7 units. So 7 into 8 is 56 kg. Right. So this is another way of solving this question. And we get the same answer what we had got from previous approach. Another question. Here it says that the runs scored by Sachin, Ganguly and Sehwag, Dravid and Dhoni in a match are in the ratio of 7 is to 5 is to 3 is to 3 is to 4. If the total runs scored by them is 330 runs, find the runs scored by each of them individually. Now we'll take the ratio approach. So see, runs are scored by Sachin, is to Ganguly, is to Sehwag, Dravid, and Dhoni. So five players are scoring at a rate of 7. I mean, the ratio is 7 is to 5 is to 3 is to 3 is to 4. So this means that if Sachin scores 7 unit, Ganguly will score 5 unit, Sehwag scores 3 unit, Dravid scores 3 unit, and Dhoni scores 4 unit. So what is the total sum, total runs scored by these 5 batsmen? That is total run is 7 plus 5, 12, 3, 15, 3, 18 for 22 units. Right, 22 units. So 22 units represent how many runs? 330 runs. So 1 unit will represent 330 by 20. This is very basic. I mean, writing in terms, I mean, this need not be written. Mentally, we can calculate 22 units, 330 runs, 1 unit, 15 runs. So Sachin will score 15, 7, 105. This is 75, this is 45, 45, and 60 runs. So 3 is equal to 15 runs, right? 1 unit is 15 runs. So what? Sachin is 7 unit, right? So Sachin is, so here I can write this. 7 unit is how much? 15 into 7, which is 105. This is 5 into 7, sorry, 5 into 15, which is 75. This is 3 into 15, which is 45. This is again 3 into 15, which is 45. And this is 4 into 15, which is 60 runs. So therefore, individual scores is how much? 105, 75. So that we can say that runs are 105, 75, 45, 45, and 60 in the respective orders. This is answer. Right, this is a very simple problem. I mean, we did not write anything, just with a mental calculation, we can get to the answer. Now, this problem reads that the runs scored by Sachin, Ganguly, Sehwag, Dravid, and Dhoni in a match are in the ratio of 5 is to 3 is to 1 is to 4 is to 2. If the average runs scored by them is 66 runs, find the, okay, now let's see. Again, Sachin, Ganguly, Dravid, and Dhoni, right? They score in the ratio of 5 is to 3 is to 1 is to 4 is to 2. So, what is the average in terms of unit? 5 unit, 3 unit, 1 unit, 4 unit, 2 unit. Total is 5, 3, 8, 1, 9 for 13 to 15 units. 15 by 5 players are there, right? Basics of average. So 3 units, right? So average is 3 unit. So now see, 3 unit represents average is 66 runs. So 1 unit will represent 22 runs. Very simple. So now Sehwag is 5 unit. So Sehwag, we can say that he is, Sehwag is 5 into, sorry, Sachin is 5 into 22, which is 110. Ganguly is 3 into 22, which is 66 runs. Sehwag is 1 into 22 runs, which is 22. Dravid is 4 units, so 4 into 22, which is 88 runs. And Dhoni is 2 units, so it is 2 into 22, which is 44 runs. So these are the runs scored by each of the player individually, right? So what do we see here? Now see, thing is very simple, that we equated the unit to the average, right? Average. Or we could have told that if 3 unit becomes 66, so every term, every units will increase by 22 times. So that is what we are doing here, right? And this is the answer. Now this is another problem where it is said that m is to n is given as m ratio n is 3 is to 4, which we can write as m by n as 3 by 4, because ratio and fraction are same thing. We have to find the value of 4m plus n by 3m plus 5n is equal to what? Method 1. So here it is 4m plus n by 3m plus 5n. So this we can, what we will divide numerator and denominator by n. Now numerator and denominator by n. So what do we get? We get 4 m by n plus 1 and 3 m by n plus 1. This we can write as 4 into m by n is 3 by 4. So 4 into 3 by 4 plus 1 upon 3 into m by n is 3 by 4 plus 1. So this is what? 4 gets cancelled. So here it is 3 plus 1 4 in numerator, and denominator it becomes 9 plus 4 13, right? Sorry, this is 5 here. So 20, 4 5 are 20 after taking LCM, and 9. So it is 29 by 4. So this we can write as 4 into 4 by 29, which is 16 by 29. So the ratio becomes, ratio is 16 is to 29. This is first way. Now method 2. Method 2, what we will do, we have to find the ratio of 4m plus n by 3m plus 5n if m by n is 3 by 4. So we will just substitute m is equal to 3 and n is equal to 4. N is equal to 4 in the above expression. We will get 4 into m is 3 plus n is 4, right? And 3 into m is 3 plus 5 into n is 4. So here we get 12 plus 4 16, 9 plus 20 29, right? So this ratio becomes 16 is to 29. This is much simple and much easy. I mean, when we talk in terms of ratio and we have to get something which is of another ratio form, simply substituting the values, I mean, we'll take the ratio as given and substitute that, right? And that we will get the answer using that. This is a very simple method and effective also. In exam times, this saves much of our time. Now another problem. A class teacher distributes trophies to the 4 topper students of a class in the ratio 1 is to 2 is to 1 is to 3, sorry, 1 by 2 is to 1 by 3 is to 1 by 4 is to 1 by 5. So the ratio is 1 by 2 is to 1 by 3 is to 1 by 4 is to 1 by 5. So this is the ratio, right? So what does this mean? So far we have seen ratio, I mean, very likable terms like 2 is to 3 is to 4, I mean, that way. Here the ratio is in the term of fraction itself. So when the ratio is given in terms of fraction like this, what we will do, I will write here when the ratio is in terms of fraction, then take the LCM of all the numbers in denominator, and then multiply all the terms with the LCM individually. So what does this mean? This means that first step says take the LCM. So 1 by 2, 3, 4, 5 and LCM of all the numbers in denominator. So here we will take LCM of 2, 3, 4 and 5. What is the LCM? We have seen this. This is nothing but 60. 60 is the LCM, right? And then next step would be 1 by 2 into 60 is to 1 by 3 into 60 is to 1 by 4 into 60 is to 1 by 5 into 60. So here it becomes 30 is to 20 is to 15 is to 12. So now we have converted the original ratio in this form now, where this is in terms of integers or natural numbers, not in terms of fraction, right? So whenever the ratio are in terms of fraction, we can convert to the integers or natural numbers. How? We will try to equate the denominator. How do we equate the denominator? By taking the LCM or any common multiple of all these denominators. Since LCM is the lowest common multiple, we take LCM. We can even take, here it comes 60. We can take 120 also. We can multiply by 120 also. That also we will get the result. Every term will be just twice the 60, 40, 30, 24. 2 will be common. We take out 2 and then the answer will be 30, 20, 15, 12. Right, we multiply, then we, after obtaining LCM, we will multiply each of the term independently, half into 60, 1 by 3 into 60, 1 by 4 into 60, 1 by 5 into 60 to obtain the uh, independent ratios. So now we have obtained the ratios of the number of toffee given to each of the four topper students. So what is the minimum number of toffees which the teacher distributes, right? So minimum number of toffees would be what? 30x plus 20x plus 15x plus 12x. And here x if takes a value of 1, or in terms of ratio 30 units plus 20 units plus 15 units plus 12 units. This is the first one. This is the first multiple, right? Second multiple would be 30 into 2, 20 into 2, 15 into 2, 12 into 2. Then next multiple would be 30 into 3, 20 into 3, 15 into 3, 12 into 3. So we have to take the smallest or minimum number of toffees. So minimum number of toffee will be at the multiple of 1. Toffee is equal to 30 plus 20 plus 15 plus 12, 77 units, right? So 77 units of toffees were there, minimum, at least this much, or it may be 77 into 2 or 77 into 3. So that way, but at least 77 toffees were there, so that in this ratio he can distribute the toffees to different students, right? So till now we have seen some very basic level of questions on ratio. Now we will move to the properties of ratio. So what are the different properties of ratio? So the first property says if we multiply numerator and denominator of a ratio by the same number, the ratio remains unchanged. So suppose if a ratio is a by b, so this will be same as if I multiply a into k upon b into k, right? There's no difference because k gets cancelled. So therefore it says that whenever the numerator and denominator or the antecedent or consequent of a ratio is multiplied by same number, the ratio remains unchanged. And this we have seen. I mean, and vice versa is also true. For the ratio this a is to b to remain valid, we have to multiply both the terms a and b by the same multiple, right? So that is very, self-explanatory. Nothing to add more to this. Now, if we divide the numerator and denominator of a ratio by the same number, then also ratio remains unchanged. Like if the ratio is a by b, and if I divide a by k and b by k, then also what it will give the same a by b only. So same as the above one, no difference, right? We can take some example also. Suppose it be 2 by 3, so this is nothing but 2, say 5 times 3 by 5. So this is same as 2 by 3, 5 gets cancelled, and same here. Now multiplication of two or more ratios. Now say there are two ratios. First of all, a is to b is given as, say, 3 is to 4, and then c is to d is given as 5 is to, say, 7. So if we have to multiply these two ratios, so this means that a by b into c by d, this is nothing but 3 by 5 into 4 by 7. So 12 by 35 is the yeah. So multiplication of two or more ratio is as simple as this. We just convert the ratio to fraction form and then multiply independently. Here, this question is important just because the term compounded. Here the term compounded has been used. So find the ratio compounded of the four ratios. So whenever it is called compounded of the four ratios, then compounded means multiply. Right, compounding and multiply. So this is basically asking us to multiply the different ratios, 3 by 4 into 8 by 9 into 3 by 7 into 7 by 12. So this becomes what? We just 3 by 3, it gets cancelled. Then this 3 will cancel this 3. This 7 will cancel this 7. This 4 will cancel this 8 2 times. This 2 will cancel 12 6 times. So this becomes 1 by 6. So ratio will be nothing but 1 by 6. So compounded ratio of these four ratio is 1 by 6. Just be aware of this term. Compounded of the different ratio means multiplication of the different ratios. 1 is to 6 is the answer. There's nothing special in this question except for the term compounded of the four ratio. Whenever it is mentioned compounded of different ratio, it means you have to multiply those different ratios. Now, division of two ratios is same as the multiplication of two ratio. If it is given as a is to b is, say, 3 is to 5 and c is to d is 2 is to 7, and if I have to find a is to b by c is to d, this is nothing but a by b upon c by d, which is same as 3 by 5 upon 2 by 7, which is 3 by 5 to 7, which is 21 by 10. So ratio becomes 21 is to 10, right? Sorry. So these are some very basic, need not even be mentioned here, but just keep in mind at many places this may come handy. Now these are some special terms, right? Special terms. So here duplicate ratio of p by q is p square is to q square. So if anyone asks what is the duplicate ratio of 3 is to 4, so duplicate ratio will be nothing but 9 is to 16, right? Duplicate of 3 is to 4. That is p square is to q square. And if it is triplicate ratio, so triplicate means triplicate of 3 is to 4 is nothing but 3 cube, which is 27, is to 4 cube, which is 64, right? There's some standard terms, just keep in mind, nothing else, no concept here. Now subduplicate ratio. Subduplicate of P by Q of say 3 by, not 3 by 4, that will say suppose 4 is to 9. Subduplicate of 4 is to 9 will be nothing but 2 is to 3 square root. Similarly, subtriplicate ratio of say 27 is to say any term, say 125. So this will be nothing but cube root of 27, which is 3, and then cube root of 125, which is 5. So 3 is to 5. So this is another term. Then inverse or reciprocal ratio of P is to Q is equal to Q is to P. So inverse of P is to Q. So when it is 2 is to 3 ratio, so inverse is given by 3 is to 2. Some very basic fundamental things, but we need to keep this in mind because there may be some direct questions based on this. Now this is another thing. We have seen the simultaneous equations in 3 variables. So when there are 3 variables, we should have 3 equations, then only we can get some definite solution to the variables. However, when there are 3 variables but only 2 simultaneous equation, then we cannot exactly find the value of the 3 different variables. However, we can find the ratio of the variables. So herein it is given that a1x plus b1y plus c1z is equal to 0 is one equation, and a2x plus b2y plus c2z is equal to 0 is another equation in x, y and z, right? A1, B1, C1 and A2, B2, C2 are the corresponding coefficients of x, y, z. So since this is 3 variable 2 equation, we cannot find a definite answer to this. However, we can find the ratio. How come the ratio comes? Now see, if I have to find the for a ratio of x is to y is to z, right? X, y, z. So for x, what I mean, we will hide this part. We will look to the right of x because we have to find the solution to the x. So we'll keep the right hand side part and we'll take on the exponent in that order: b1, b2, c1, c2. So for 1 it will be b1, b2, c1, c2. Now for y, we will hide this part, y part, and so what remains, and we start from right hand side. So if we hide this y part, we get the coefficient just right of this as c1, c2, and then we will turn this at a1, a2. c1, c2 we already have written, so we just write a1, a2. Now for z, we will hide this z part, and then we will look at right. Right of z is nothing but, I mean, just look at this in a circular flow. So after hiding z components, we will get this a1, a2. a1, a2 is written here. So next to that is b1, b2. So we write here b1, b2. Nothing very complicated. So now the method says you cross multiply b1 into c2 minus b2 into c1, then c1 into a2 minus c2 into a1, then a1 into b2 minus a2 into b1. So here basically the ratio of x is to y is to z becomes what? For x it is b1 c2, b1 c2 minus b2 c1 is to. For y it is what? Y the second c1 a2 minus c2 a1, c1 a2 minus c2 a1. Then for z it is third one a1 b2 minus a2 b1. So this is the ratio. Simply we should not even draw this cross diagram. We can simply see for x it will be b1 c2 minus b2 c1 cross. We will multiply the cross and then another cross multiplication and subtract the two. So b1 c2 minus b2 c1. For y the pattern will be a bit different. For it should be now this side from C1A2 minus A1C2, C1A2 minus A1C2. And for Z, it will be again the standard A1B2 minus A2B1, A1B2 minus A2B1. This you can remember also, or with the logic which I just explained, you can keep in mind, and then you can solve. So herein we have found the ratio of X is to Y is to Z. And take one random example just to uh, drive through the point. So if say suppose it is 2x plus 3y plus 4z is equal to 0, and 3x plus 2y plus 5z is 0. So what happens here? Here there are two equations, right? We have to find the ratio of x is to y is to z. We cannot find the exact value, so we will find the ratio. For x, we will take cross multiply 3 into 5 minus 2 into 4 is 2. For y, we will start with this side 4 into 3 minus 2 into 5. And for z, the standard 2 into 2 minus 3 into 3. Right? This we can write as 15 minus 8 is 7, 12 minus 10 is 2, and here 4 minus 9 is minus 5. So this is the ratio. I mean, ratios can be negative, right? Ratio is nothing but another way of expressing a fraction. Fraction can be negative, so the same can be said of a ratio also. So x, y, and z, and the ratio 7 is to 2 is to minus 5. This is the answer. So this is one of the property of a ratio. I mean, we use ratio to calculate or find the probable solution of x, y, z. Now we'll stop this properties for a while, and then we'll look at the how do we compare different ratios, whether which ratio is larger, which is smaller. So as we know that ratio is nothing but a fraction, right? So say suppose there are two ratio a by b. Say suppose you start with a ratio a by b, and now see two things: a is numerator, b is denominator. So the fraction will go up. It will increase if denominator increase. Right? Fraction increases if denominator decreases. When denominator decreases, fraction will increase. Similarly, fraction will increase if numerator increases. Right? Now, if fraction, when I say denominator decreases and numerator remains constant, right, or increases, because see two things we should be careful. A fraction will increase only when the numerator increases or denominator decreases, or both happens, right? So very short I can write this. Let me erase all this, and in one line I can write uh, any fraction will increase if denominator decreases or numerator increases, or both happens simultaneously, that is denominator decrease and numerator increase simultaneously, right? So this is the condition. So and this fraction is nothing but a ratio. So what can we say of the ratio? Ratio, if numerator decreases but denominator increases, then certainly ratio will decrease because denominator is getting heavier. So ratio will decrease. Now when numerator increases while denominator decreases, ratio will again increase, right? It will increase. Whereas when numerator decreases while denominator also decreases. So now this is a dicey case. We cannot say for sure what will happen. It may increase, may decrease, or may remain same also. Similarly, when numerator increases and denominator also increases, then we cannot say for sure whether what will happen to the resultant ratio. It may increase, decrease, or remain same. Right. So that we will see later on in greater detail. Now, so for these two cases, I mean for these two first two cases, we know for sure what will happen. But what will happen in the third and fourth case? To determine that, we have actually a few ways of comparing ratio. The first is the multiplication, cross multiplication method. So cross multiplication method is like, say I'll take an example. If ratio is 5 by 13 and say 7 by 9. So which one of the two is greater? So what we will do, we will process says cross multiply antecedent of first ratio with the consequent of second ratio. Then second process, cross multiply the consequent of first ratio with the antecedent of second ratio. And then third, I mean, we did not even write this subtract. If product in 1 is greater than product in 2, it means first ratio is greater as second ratio, right? So what happens here? Here we will see that here it is 5 into 9 minus 13 into 7, right? We will multiply 5 into 9 antecedent of first ratio into consequent of second ratio, and then we will multiply antecedent, I mean consequent of first ratio with antecedent of second ratio, 13 into 7. This is 45, this is 91, so this is less than sign. So since first product is less than the second product, so first ratio is less than second ratio. So we will say that 5 by 13 is less than 7 by 9, right? So this is one of the very I mean useful tool, especially in DI, data integration segment of CAT. However, its use is limited when the ratios are of a larger order, say 3-digit or 4-digit numbers or even 2-digit numbers are there. So then multiplying those may be a bit tedious and time consuming. So in that case, we may look at the second approach by decimal or percentage calculation. So for that, let's see an example. If example is 50 upon 79 and 60 upon 97. So what is the case here? Now see, we will try to convert this into a, I mean, very broad percentage terms. So 50 by 79, can we say that this is 50 by 79 is this, I mean, what is the nearest percentage of this? I mean, if you assume the denominator to be 80, so 80 into 60% is 48, right? So certainly this is greater than 60%, right? This we can say. And here also this is greater than 60%. So from here we cannot say. Now we have to go into the, I mean, next year. So for that reason, I mean, in percentage we will see how to interpret or calculate the, I mean, here we have calculated percentage in the nearest tenth place, right? To accurately calculate the percentage without even using calculator and all, that we will see in the percentage session. But roughly here I can write that 50 by 79 would be somewhere greater than 63%, right? And 60 by 97, this will be somewhere in the range of 61%, right? This method I will tell you in percentage here, I mean, that we just take our time. So from here we can say that since first ratio is more than 63%, whereas the second ratio is somewhere around 61%, so 50 by 79 is greater than 60 by 97, right? This is one approach. Then we'll take another example. Say suppose I take example to any random thing, say like 80 upon 137 and 100 upon 159. So 80 upon 137, what is the approximate tens digit fraction here? I mean percentage here. So this is nothing but I mean what 137 6 ja will be somewhere around 83, 84. So this is less than 60%, right? This is less than 60%, whereas this is uh, about denominator is 160. 160 ka 60% is 96 somewhere. This is more than that. So this is more than 60%, right? I mean, luckily both the examples have turned out to be in the percentage of 60%, but any percentage value can be there. So this is, since less than 60%, this is more than 60%. So we will say that 80 by 137 is less than 100 by 159. So this is another way of comparing a ratio, right? Now the third method, this is even important, and here we will now see how the things move actually. So comparing the percentage change of numerator vis-a-vis denominator, this method say if a by b, right, such that a increases by delta a percent and b increases by delta b percent, right? So what happens if delta a in percentage term is more than delta b in percentage term? So then we can say that, so what I am saying is the numerator increases by, numerator a increases by a higher percentage than b, right? Because delta a percentage more than delta b. So this means that a, the antecedent or the numerator of the ratio, increases by a higher percent and b increases by a lesser percent. So in that case, a plus delta a percent, I mean, let this be as, say suppose c by d, right? So so here I can see that c by d is greater than a by b. Why? Because c is basically a, because a increases by a higher percentage than b, right? So c by d will be more than a by b. Similarly, what happens if, say suppose a by b increases such that a plus delta a percent upon b plus delta b percent, where a and b increases by this much percentage to give us a ratio c by d. So if delta a percent is less than delta b percent, so this means that numerator increases by a lower percentage than denominator. So in that case, c by d will be less than a by b. right? This is one A. Now second is, say suppose the same ratio A by B. I mean that will also give the same what. So we have seen both. I mean A increases more than B in terms of percentage. So in that case the resultant ratio will be more than the previous ratio. Whereas if that was, I mean the 2 is nothing but the same thing which I discussed here. So this we may ignore. If I mean rather take examples here, and if denominator increases more than the numerator in terms of percentage, then the resultant ratio will be less than the previous ratio. So let us take some examples. So say ratio A by B is nothing but 3 by 4. Now what happens? There is a ratio C by D which is nothing but 3 plus, say suppose 1 and 4 plus 1, right? So or rather say 4 plus say 3, right? So what happens here? A increases by, from 3 to, it becomes 4, right? 3 plus 1 is 4. A increases from 3 to 4, so that is 33% increase, right? And B increases from 4 to 7, that is 3 by 4 increases. 3 by 4 is 75%. So since B increases more than A, so this C by D, so since denominator increases more than numerator, so the resultant ratio C by D will be less than A by B, right? Now I will take another example. Right. If say suppose A by B is equal to 5 by 7, say suppose, and C by D such that both increases by same amount 2, suppose same amount 2. So what happens here? A increases by 2 by 5. 2 by 5 is 40%, right? And B increases by 2 by 7, that is around roughly 29%, right? So since A increases more, since numerator increases more than denominator in absolute percentage term, so the resultant ratio C by D will be more than A by B. Now this is one case. So what would be the treatment if it's not increasing, rather it's decreasing? A decreases by delta A percent and B decreases by delta A percent. It will be reverse. So when the decrease is more in numerator in terms of percentage, so that the resultant ratio will be lower. And if the decrease is more in denominator in terms of percentage, so the resultant ratio will be higher, right? Because then it will be a reverse treatment. So upon this, now we'll see certain properties of ratio again. So here it is impact of adding or subtracting a positive number k to or from antecedent and consequent of ratio A is to B. So these things we have seen just now through an example. Now we'll see in detail. Here it says that A by B is greater than 1. So this means that A is greater than B, right? A is greater than B. Now see, suppose what happens. So if K is subtracted from numerator and denominator, NR and DR, so numerator and denominator. So the ratio becomes A minus K upon B minus K, right? Now see, K is the positive quantity and A is more than B. So tell me, if A is more than B, so K upon A will be a lower fraction or a percentage than K upon B. K upon A will be lower than K upon B, right? Because A is greater than B. So in that case, that means that the percentage increase in numerator, delta numerator increase is in terms of percentage is less than the percentage increase in denominator, right? Because a is more, so the numerator would be increasing. Sorry, this is a minus sign here. So here I will say then it will be reverse actually, right? So what does this mean? This means that k is a quantity which is lower in percentage. So k is being decreased. So percentage decrease in numerator is less than the percentage decrease in denominator, right? Percentage decrease in numerator is less than the percentage decrease in denominator. So this means that denominator decreases more. So therefore a minus k, or the resultant ratio a minus k upon b minus k, will be more than a by b. Why? Because denominator decreases more than numerator in terms of percentage, right? What we saw. Now if we see a plus k upon b plus k, here what happens? Since a is more, so we can say that delta, I mean percentage increase in numerator is less than percentage increase in denominator. This we can write, right? This term also I write in the same fashion. So here it is percentage decrease in numerator is less than percentage decrease in denominator, right? So here in the second case, case 2, case 1, percentage increase in numerator by adding a positive number k is less than the percentage decrease in denominator. So that means ki denominator in absolute term, in percentage terms, is increasing more than numerator. So therefore we can say that a plus k upon b plus k will be less than a by b, right? So from 1 and 2 we can say that uh, a minus k upon b minus k greater than a by b, which is again greater than a plus k upon b plus k. So this is a very standard derivation which I just showed here, and this is one of the very important property of ratio, that when a by b is greater than 1, or when the ratio is a improper ratio, or greater than inequality ratio, then when a positive number is added to same number, positive number is added to both numerator and denominator, then the resultant ratio is lower than the previous ratio of a by b, and opposite happens if the same positive number is subtracted, right? Now we will see the case. I mean case b here. This was case a. So case b means when a by b is less than 1, a by b is less than 1. So this means that a less than b. So what does this mean? A less than b. Now if k is subtracted from numerator and denominator, that is the first case which we are seeing. So first subcase, so what happens here? A minus k upon b minus k. Here since a is less than b and same amount is, so k, so we can say that percentage decrease in numerator, a is lower than b, right? So percentage decrease in numerator is more than percentage decrease in denominator, right? So that means percentage increase in numerator is more. So therefore we can say that a minus k upon b minus k so this means what? I mean, this means that numerator is decreasing more in than the denominator. So when numerator decreases relatively more than denominator, so the ratio becomes less than the previous original ratio of a by b. Now when if k is added to numerator and denominator, it becomes a by k upon b by k. Here percentage increase in numerator, a is smaller than b, so percentage increase in numerator is greater than percentage increase in denominator. So what happens here? So denominator actually is increasing more, right? Denominator is increasing more, so it means that sorry, numerator is increasing more. Numerator is increasing more. So from here we can say that a plus k upon b plus k will be more than a by b, right? So from 3 and 4, 3 and 4, we can say that a plus k upon b plus k greater than a by b, which is again greater than a minus k upon b minus k. So this is again a standard result or property of here. This we have proved here. I mean, you can remember the property also, or you can keep this in back of the mind that how the relations vary actually. Now we'll see the next property of ratio. So this property, it's written that a by b, when ratio a is to b is greater than c is to d, then a by b will be greater than a plus c upon b plus d, which in turn will be greater than c by d. So what basically is this ratio is nothing but summation of numerator upon summation of denominator. So let's prove this. So with the concept we just learned, same concept we use and prove this relationship. So what happens here? It is like from a by b, if the ratio becomes a plus c upon b by d, right? This is what it becomes. So that so this will give us a relationship between a by b and a plus c upon b by d, the first two terms. So what is it? When so in this case, what is the increase in numerator? Increase in numerator, it becomes what? From a to a plus c, and here it becomes from b to b plus d. So increase is what? Increase is c upon, I mean c minus a upon a, right? This is the percentage increase in numerator. And what is the percentage decrease in increase in denominator? So that is nothing but it increases by d, right? So from b to b plus d, so we can say percentage decrease would be d upon b. So this will be nothing but, we can also write this as I just erase this. Here the percentage increase will be c. From a to it becomes a plus c. So increase is c with respect to a. So this is the percentage decrease. That also was correct only. We could have checked that, but anyway, let us see. So it is now c. here the percentage increase is C by A, here it is D by A. Let us see what is the relationship between C by A and D by B. And it is given that since A by B is greater than C by D, so from here I can say that if I rearrange, assuming all the terms are positive, so if I rearrange, it becomes A by D rather it will be D by B will be greater than, I'm taking D this side, so C by A. And D by B is what? D by B is the increase in denominator. So from here, since it is given that denominator, percentage increase in denominator is more than the percentage increase in numerator. So that is percentage increase in denominator is more than the percentage increase in numerator. So we can say that since denominator is increasing more in percentage terms, so the resultant ratio will be less than the previous ratio. So what is the resultant ratio? That is A plus C upon B plus D. This will be less than, since denominator is increasing more, it will be less than the original ratio, right? This first part we have proved. Now similarly we'll see the second part. What is the second part? We have to see between C by D and A plus C upon D plus B, right? This relation we have to see. So it is here, what is the percentage increase in numerator? That is numerator increases from C to C plus A, that is increase is A as a percentage of C, right? And percentage increase in denominator is what? Denominator increases from D to D plus B, that is increase is B upon D. So these are the year. And since we know that A by B is greater than C by D, so this we can rearrange to write as A by C will be greater than B by D, and A by C is percentage increase in numerator. So therefore from this we can say that percentage increase in numerator is greater than percentage increase in denominator. So this means that what? This means that when numerator is more than the denominator, I mean percentage increase in the numerator is more than the percentage increase in denominator. So the resultant ratio, which is C plus A, or I can write as A plus C upon B plus D, this will be more than the original ratio, which is C by D. So combining 1 and equation 2, so from 1 and 2 we can say that A by B greater than A plus C upon B plus D greater than C by D. So what is the, if there are two ratio A by B and C by D, then the sum of the numerator ratio formed by summation of the numerator upon summation of the denominator will lie somewhere in between, right? So this we proved for two cases of ratio A by B and C by D. If there are more than two, like A by B, C by D, E by F, G by H, so what happens? Then in that case, similarly, we can generalize this derivation and say that ratio formed by the summation of numerator, that is A plus C plus E plus G, upon summation of denominator, that is B plus D plus F plus H, will lie somewhere between the lowest and the highest of these ratio or these fractions, right? I mean, for cases of two ratio we have proved. So similarly, it can be done for n number of ratios. We can take it two case at a time and then prove that. But we can remember this also now going forward, that if there are, I mean, any set of ratios, then the ratio formed by the summation of all the numerators and upon the summation of all the denominator, that ratio will lie somewhere in between the lowest ratio or fraction and the highest fraction. And as a special case, when all the ratios are same, then when this summation of the ratio found by the summation of numerator to the summation of denominator will also be same as the on the individual ratio. This is special case. This we can check. I mean, if you put a by b is equal to c by d, we will get a by b is equal to, in this derivation, a by b is equal to a plus c upon b plus d is equal to c by d. So that is it. So let's move to now looking at what is the uses of ratio. So basically there are two major uses of ratio. One is that ratio acts as a bridging element between different elements of same kind. So say suppose, I mean, if it is given that, what do we mean by bridging element? Like if a is to b is given by 2 by 3 and b by c is given as 6 by 7, then if we have, the question is to find the ratio of a by c. So what is the ratio of a by c? That we do not know, right? So from here we know that b is 3 units, right? And from here we know that b is 6 units. So common we will take, I mean, we'll make it common. So if I make b here also multiply by 2, so here a was 2 units. So this also I multiply by 2, and here c was 7 units, right? So what are we doing? We are multiplying in this ratio by 2 so that the common term b becomes equal. So now if b in both the ratios have become 6, so a by b I can write as 4 by 6 and c by d I can write as 6 by 7. So therefore a is to b is to c is nothing but 4 is to 6 is to 7. So here the ratio act as a bridging between a and c. And how do we find the ultimate ratio? So 2 by 3 and 6 by 7. So we took the LCM of 3 and 6, that 6 came, and so that way, right? Now let us see another question. Question number 8. Here weight of Karan Arjun is given. So Karan is to Arjun is given as 4 is to 3. Arjun is to Bhim is given as 4 is to 5. And Bhim is to Nakul is given as 3 is to 2. Right? This is the ratio of their weights. Then find the ratio of weight of Karan and Nakul. So there is a bridging element between those Karan and Nakul. This A is to B is there, right? So see how do we proceed here. So from here I can say that, from this equation I can say that Karan is 4 units. So Arjun is from first Arjun is what 3 unit. From second Arjun is what? Arjun is here 4 units, right? And Bhim is 5 units. And from third equation, Bhim is 3 units and Nakul is 2 units, right? So what we have to do? First we have to, A is common and then B is common between second and third equation. So we will first equate A. So A here is 3, here is 4. So here we multiply by 4. If you are multiplying A with 4, then K also will multiply by 4, right? And now, so here A becomes 12. So here also I have to make it 12. So I will multiply this with 3. So since I have multiplied here A by 3, so B also I multiply by 3. So now B has become 5 into 3, 15. Whereas here B is 3 from third equation. So here also I multiply by 5. So if B is multiplied in equation 3 by 5, so N will also I multiply by 5. So what now see, what is the ratio? It is 16, this is 12, this is 12, this is 15, this is 15, this is 10. So what is now Karan we have got as 16, Arjun we have got as 12 in both the places, Bhim we have got as 15 in both the places, and Nakul we have got as 10 in here. So this way we calculated the ratio of Karan, Arjun, Bhim and Nakul. Karan, Arjun, Bhim and Nakul, the ratio is 16 is to 12 is to 15 is to 10. So therefore, the difference of the, what is the difference of Karan and Nakul? We have to find, no sorry, the ratio of Karan and Nakul. So Karan is to Nakul is nothing but 16 is to 10. So we can simplify this as 8 is to 5, right? So this is the answer to this question. However, we see that there is so much of a technicality here. We have to keep on balancing the common ratios or common variables, and that may at time become tedious. So to avoid all this, there is a shortcut formula for this that we will see here. So now it says that if a by b is equal to n1 by d1, where n1 is numerator 1, denominator 1, b by c is numerator 2, denominator 2, and so on. So what is the ratio of ABCD? This is the formula. This may look a bit difficult at first sight, but it's actually not that difficult. Let us see this through an example. So A by B is given as 2 by 3. B by C is given as 5 by 3. C by D is given as 4 by 7. And D by E is 7 by 5. This would have been really difficult. I mean, difficult in a sense ki time consuming, because there are 3 balancing we would have to done. B, then C, then D. 3. It would have taken a bit of a effort. The short cut and the formula says the A here will be given by nothing but product of all the numerators. All the numerators n1 into n2 into n3 into n4 into n5. Let me denote this as n1 d1. d1 n2, this is sorry, n2 d2, n3 d3, n4 d4, right? So A will be given by product of all the numerators n1 n2 n3 into n4. So this is nothing but 2 into 5 into 4 into 7. This is 280. B will be given by, now what happens? We will substitute the first numerator by first denominator n1 by d1, and then the rest of the terms remain the same, n2 into n3 into n4. So what we did for the second ratio, the second term b, we will replace just the first numerator by the first denominator, and then rest of the term remains the same, other numerators. So here d1 is 3 and the rest of the terms are same, 5 into 4 into 7, which gives 15, 4 is 60, this is 420. Then C is, again, now what will happen? We will replace the second term here, right? D1. So when process it will start with odd numerator, then we each step we will replace the one numerator and replace that with denominator. So here now the next numerator we will replace with denominator, and then keep rest of the terms same. So here d1 is 3, d2 is again 3, d3 no sorry n3 and n4 are 4 into 7. This is like 9 into 4 36, 36 into 7 is 252, right? Then D, what we said, we replaced first numerator by first denominator, then second numerator by second denominator. Now the third numerator will be replaced by the third denominator. So d1 into d2 into d3, and then n4 we will retain. So this becomes 3 into 3 into this 4 we replace by 7 here, and the 7 in numerator remain. So this is like 9 into 7, 63, 63 into 7 is 441. And then E. E will be now replace the remaining numerator by the denominator. So it is d1 into d2 into d3 into d4, which is like 3 into 3 into 7 into 5. So 9, 7 is 63, 5 is 315. So this is much simpler to obtain. So now we have obtained the ratio. So ratio we have obtained, and however, do we have any common factor between them? I mean, this is also right. This is the ratio of A, B, C, D, E. However, if we see, there is a 7 in all the terms, right? So 7 is common here actually. So we take out 7 from all the numbers. So it becomes 40. Here it is 60. Here it is 36. Here it is 63, and here it is 45. So this is the answer to the question. So this formula actually helps you save a lot of time. Otherwise, if you had gone with solving the problem with a very, I mean, conventional approach, that would have taken much of your effort and time both. Now let us solve this question. It says that if runs scored by the following batsmen are in the ratio as mentioned below. Here Sachin scores, sorry, Sachin is to Ganguly. Let me represent by the first initials only. So Sachin by Ganguly, it is given as 7/3. Then Ganguly by Dravid is dr, given by 4/5. Then dr by dr for Dravid, dn for Dhoni, it is given by 3/4. We have to find the difference of the runs, difference between the runs scored by Sachin and Dhoni. So again, we use the, I mean, this ratio acts as a bridge between different items. So we'll find the ratio of all the terms. So how does this happen? Let us see. So Sachin, we can write as simply the product of numerator 7 into 4 into 3, 84, right? Then Ganguly we can write as what? We replace the first numerator by first denominator, 3 into rest of the terms remains same, 4 into 3. So this is 36. Then for Dravid, the third is Dravid. What we will do? We will replace the second numerator by denominator. So 4 we will replace by 5, and then we will keep it same. So this is 45. And for Dhoni, we will replace the last numerator with a last denominator. So 3 into 5 into 3 we will replace with 4. So 60. Right? This is the scores, runs are scored by different individual players. I think 3 is common, no, in all the terms. Here also 3, 3, 3, 3. So 3 we will take out. So it is 28, 12, 15, 20. So this is the ratio. Sachin is to Ganguly is to Dravid is to Dhoni is nothing but 28 is to 12 is to 15 is to 20. Now the question says ki if the difference between the runs scored by Sachin and Dhoni, so Sachin is to Dhoni is 28 is to 20. So basically the difference here is what? 8 units. So 8 units represent 40 runs. So 1 unit will represent 5 runs, right? So what will be the individual scores? So individual scores will be Sachin is 28 into 5. So that becomes 140, right? Ganguly is 12 units, so 12 into 5 is 60. Dravid is 15 units, so 15 into 5 is 75. And Dhoni is 20 units, so 20 into 5 is 100. So these are the individual runs scored by different players, and this is the answer. So this is the way we solve the questions of based on bridging between the different elements or the quantities of a ratio, right? So this formula actually, or the relation actually helps save you much of a time. So that we will use going forward. Now the second use what we have been seeing so far, second use is as a multiplier. So when we say that age of Ram and Shyam is in ratio of 2:1, we basically mean that Ram is twice the age twice the age of Shyam, or that is to get the age of Ram, we need to multiply the age of Shyam by 2. right? So that is, this is the multiplication factor. Had this been the ratio 3 is to 2, so basically we would have to multiply Shyam's age by 3 by 2 to obtain Ram's age, right? So that is the basic here. Now, so this is the multiplier concept, wherein the ratio also acts as a multiplier or it acts as a relation. Relation means how many times one ratio is of the other, one quantity is of the other quantity. So that we have seen in the definition part itself. Now, one example is there: an old man divides his 1.54 crores worth properties among his four sons, Rahim, Masood, Abdul, and Basit, such that twice Rahim's share is equal to 4 times Masood's share is equal to 3 times Abdul's share is equal to 5 times Basit's share. This is the relation it is given. Now, can we say that the ratio of shares of R, M, A and B is equal to 2 is to 4 is to 3 is to 4? Can we say this? No, we cannot say this. See, what happens actually, if when we say suppose A is to B is nothing but 3 is to 4, so we mean that this is A by B is equal to 3 by 4. So this can be written as A by 3 is equal to B by 4. So this is the standard representation of a ratio. When A and B is in ratio 3 by 4, this is represented in form of A by 3 is to B by 4, not as 3A is equal to 4B, right? So this is the way I just wanted to convey here. So now, if this is the case, let us assume that 2R is equal to 4M is equal to 3A is equal to 5B is equal to K. So from here I can get R is equal to K by 2, M is equal to K by 4, A is equal to K by 3, and B is equal to K by 5. So here, so basically what we get to learn that the shares are in ratio 1 by 2 is to 1 by 4 is to 1 by 3 is to 1 by 5. Now we have learned that how to analyze or interpret the ratio when those are given in fraction form. So we'll find the LCM. So what would be the LCM? 2, 4, 3, I think it is 60 only. So we'll then multiply individual term with the LCM. So now this is the ratio basically. So this is the ratio in which the father has allotted the shares to the 4 different sons. That is Rahim gets 30, Masood gets 15, uh, Abdul gets 20, and Basit gets 12 shares. I mean 12 units. So basically, what is the total units from here? So that is summation would be 77 unit, I think, right? 50, 65, 70, 77 units. So 77 units represent 1.54 crores. That is 154 lakhs, right? So 1 unit will represent, I think, 2 lakhs. So find the share of each son. So here, I mean, this is R, M, A, and B. So Rahim is 30 units. So 30 into 2 is 60 lakhs. This becomes into 2. 15 into 2 is 30 lakhs. 20 into 2 is 40 lakhs. And 12 into 2 is 24 lakhs. So this is the share actually, right? Share of individual sum. So this way we calculate the answer to a given question. When this is the, so here, I mean, in this question basically we got to learn one thing: when the ratio is expressed in this term, such that 2R is equal to 4M is equal to 3A is equal to 5B. then the ratio of RM, A and B is not in 2:4:3:5. Rather, it is 1/2:1/4:1/3:1/5. That fractional ratio will convert in the integer form or natural number form by first obtaining the LCM and then multiplying each of the fractional ratio by the LCM to obtain the final ratio, and then we'll move ahead with the question as discussed here. So I think that's it for today. Any query you can get back to us. Then in the next session we'll see some good questions over application of the properties of ratio and the uses of ratio. Those will be some conceptual questions. So yeah, thanks for watching this video.